This is a civilization restoration file from the year 3026. Human Civilization Archives, Episode 7. File number EP.007. Subject: the decline of a large Arctic predator and humanity's contradictory relationship with it. Its scientific name was Ursus maritimus, Latin for sea bear. By the 21st century, the name read like a prophecy because the sea eventually swallowed everything it had. In the surviving climate database records, we found the ecological file for this animal. It was the apex predator of the Arctic ice sheet, weighing up to 700 kilograms. It had ruled this frozen expanse for hundreds of thousands of years. Its survival depended entirely on one thing: sea ice. It hunted seals on the ice surface, its primary food source. No ice, no hunting ground. No hunting ground, no survival. Records show that in the early 21st century, there were approximately 26,000 polar bears globally, distributed across 19 subpopulations. The IUCN classified them as vulnerable. But the real crisis wasn't in the numbers. It was in the temperature. Meteorological archives recorded a critical fact. The Arctic was warming 2 to 4 times faster than the global average. Arctic sea ice was declining at roughly 13% per decade. Every percentage point lost meant its hunting ground was shrinking. Its feeding window was shortening. Its fasting period was lengthening. This animal was an exceptional swimmer. Records show it could swim over 100 kilometers continuously. But swimming was a means to reach ice platforms. When the ice retreated far enough, swimming was no longer a capability, it was a cost. Climate models projected that by 2040, reproductive failure would occur in several subpopulations. The Hudson Bay population could face local extinction as early as the 2030s. By 2100, most subpopulations were projected to decline significantly. Some researchers' models reached a more direct conclusion: wild populations could become functionally extinct within the century. This data was no secret in the 21st century. It was widely published, repeatedly cited, written into countless reports. Humans knew what was happening. Then we discovered something more complex. In the cultural archives, this animal's image was everywhere. It appeared on environmental organization logos, on climate summit posters, in children's picture books and documentaries. It was the most iconic visual symbol of climate change. What drew our attention even more was the commercial archive. A global beverage company, Coca-Cola, used polar bears as a core advertising image for decades. In the ads, white bears smiled in the snow, holding cans of brown carbonated drink. This formed a pattern we encounter repeatedly in civilization studies: symbolification. Humans transformed a dying entity into a consumable image. The more popular the image became, the more abstract the original's plight grew. They printed it on advertisements, on flags, on children's toys. It became a stuffed animal, a refrigerator magnet, an emoji. Everyone recognized it. Then they watched its world melt. The archives contain extensive debates about climate change. Some denied the data. Some accepted the data but opposed action. Others called for change, but the pace of change was far slower than the pace of ice retreat. This was a fracture between cognition and action. Humans had enough data to understand what was happening, but the data did not translate into sufficient behavioral change. Knowing and doing were, for this species, often two entirely different things. We noticed a detail in our research. In footage of many climate protests, demonstrators held up images of polar bears. But they drove to the rallies. They wore clothes made from petrochemical products. Their phones ran applications that consumed enormous amounts of energy. We're not accusing anyone. The 21st century energy infrastructure made it nearly impossible for individuals to detach from the carbon emission system. This was not a matter of personal choice. It was a systemic predicament. But that is precisely what makes this case so arresting. A species, clearly aware of what it was doing, clearly aware of the consequences. It even printed the symbol of those consequences on its everyday objects, and still did not stop. Looking back 1,000 years later, we pieced together an image from climate data, commercial archives, and cultural remnants. An animal standing on melting ice. Its image printed on billions of products, made into stuffed toys placed by children's beds, featured in every documentary about Earth's future. Everyone loved it. Everyone knew it was disappearing, and everyone watched its throne melt, bit by bit. This is not an archive about polar bears. This is an archive about how humans faced what they already knew.